Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a very big week for a lot of informative webinars for us. I see many of you are joining us again, and we really appreciate the support. There's a lot to learn and a lot to share with you, so we are definitely appreciative of your time. I'm Gabriella from True Marketing. It's a pleasure to talk to you all today, and we're going to be diving into some hidden gems of Japan, which is always a lot of fun for me and also for you too. Japan has just been completely, unbelievable. The energy and the interest level surrounding Japan has been incredible over the last 2 years. It continues to grow, and we are so grateful for all of the opportunities we have here and True Marketing to bring you some of this wonderful information about different prefectures that you may not be aware of, which are wonderful, compliments to the high energy of Tokyo. Sometimes you need to get out and see something a little bit different. So that's our job here and our mission today, to talk to you about some other areas that you may not know much about, but I think you'll be very intrigued by. So we're going to be covering Inuyama, Takayama, and Okuhida today. So we'll break it down. We have a little bit of some different modules and different sections. And the goal is really just to make it a little bit easy, give you a nice high level overview as well. We have a chat function, obviously, as you know. So if you have any questions as we're going through, please add them there, and I will do my best to answer them and get to them after we finish the presentation. And then we also do have a giveaway for one lucky person who's on this call today. So you will learn. We had Mary from Alameda Travel win yesterday on our Greece webinar. So good luck to all of you. Okay, so let's dive in today. So we're going to be bringing you these regions in the form of a project-based collaboration, which was formed between the Nagoya Railroad Company Limited, which is a company that plays a vital role in supporting daily life in central Japan, and the luxury DMC Beauty of Japan, who many of you know that we represent as well proudly. So it's a nice collaboration here. The stage is set today first in Inuyama in the Aichi Prefecture. And this is an area really brimming with history and culture, centered around Inuyama Castle, which many of you maybe know and maybe have seen photos of before. And that's a designated national treasure of Japan. So that's one of the most significant and recognizable points in this area. And then for this particular project, we developed exclusive luxury experiences in the Inuyama area. So my, overarching goal really also is to introduce you to some of these remarkable offerings, so that you can see how it is when you look at maybe, organizing a different taste of Japan for your guests. And I really appreciate your time again. So where is Inuyama? How do you get there? It's very easily accessible from major cities like Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. So if you're coming from Tokyo, you would take the Shinkansen high-speed train to Nagoya, transfer to the Nagoya Railroad, and then you'd arrive in Inuyama in approximately 2.5 hours. If you're coming from Kyoto or Osaka, the journey is even shorter, just about an hour and a half. So that's great too. And then for added convenience, your DMC can always arrange private car transfer from Nagoya Station. So that allows you to reach Inuyama in about 40 minutes. So many of the travelers simply pass through Nagoya Station on the Shinkansen, which is the area, but the area surrounding Nagoya is home to several hidden gems waiting to be discovered. So we'll dive in. Okay, so first we're going to do some not unique experiences. There'll be about 9 in total, not to overwhelm you in the area, but we'll, in the end, we'll highlight some particular, more important, more significant ones, more popular ones, and that are wrapped up in packages so you can see how these all lay out if you were to build a module or if you were to utilize one of ours that is pre-built. So the central theme of these experiences today are really culture and history. So these are the driving reasons why you would go to this region. The Inuyama Castle, again, is that national treasure, the landmark and the centerpiece. And in traditional Japan, towns often grew around castles, and these are where people gathered and industries flourished. So it's not uncommon to find these kind of places in Japan, and to be able to explore them still intact today. So this is a really classic example of urban development in the historical side of Japan. And just take a moment to take a look at some of these places that really showcase the rich history. Okay, so first and foremost, sorry, let me go back here. We have, as I mentioned, Inuyama Castle. So just a little bit about that, a little bit more. So again, it is designated a national treasure of Japan, and it stands today as a historical landmark. So its interior has been preserved in its original state, so it's still intact. And it really gives visitors a beautiful step back in time. So you get a nice sense of place. While Japan is home to many national treasures, Inuyama Castle is the oldest surviving castle in its original form. So it's truly unique and very, very special. It's also renowned as a really prime cherry blossom viewing spot. So I know a lot of people definitely want to go to Japan for that. So this attracts a lot of visitors, especially during the high cherry blossom season every year. So during this time, you can enjoy a river cruise on the nearby Kiso River, and that's got breathtaking views of some of the cherry blossoms and the castle together, which are just incredibly impressive. And then a 3-minute walk from the castle, you have just the charming castle town. So that's adorable to stroll. So here in this town, you'll find a lot of museums where you can learn about Inuyama's history, plenty of shopping that you can do for some unique souvenirs. And so the castle really is a rich atmosphere, full of scenic beauty. It's wonderfully photogenic. And there's, many reasons why it continues to be a highlight and draw many people from around the world. So in Inuyama, you can also step back in time and experience a slice of history. And one of the things that we'll show you is Meiji Mura, which means the Meiji village. So here you'll find traditional architecture that symbolizes the Meiji era, which is a very pivotal period when Western influences begin to enter Japan. So many historic buildings have been carefully relocated to the village, preserving their original forms under the supervision of very expert craftsmen. So the highlight of Meiji Mura undoubtedly really is the Imperial Hotel, and this was designed by the renowned architect Frank Lloyd Wright, who you probably have heard of. So one of Wright's principles was really to use exclusively, or as much as possible, local materials to sort of harmonize his buildings with the old world mixed with a bit of Western influence. So he was also famous for designing Guggenheim in New York, for example. He was a pioneer in creating architecture that coexists with nature. So during the Meiji era, Western culture started to flow into Japan. So the nation's leaders recognized a need, and more visitors means a need to accommodate them. So they needed something that was a little bit more Western in the way of accommodations. So that's what we find here, and it's often said that Wright's visionary work has captured attention on this project and many projects all around the world. So another must-see is Zagyoso, which is a village which was used by a former Japanese prime minister as his retreat, similar to Camp David in the US. So it might seem like an ordinary pillar, but it's in fact a concealed iron support designed for security purposes. So it's kind of a very purposeful and interesting building with a unique history. And this villa features unique safety measures such as hidden escape routes, hidden paths, and that kind of thing. So you get some nice glimpses into very intriguing architectural elements when you come here as well. So one of the things that Beauty of Japan developed in this cooperation was a special guided tour led by qualified architects to provide in-depth explanations of some of these really interesting structures. So they ensure that you don't miss a single detail. If you have clients that are architects, this is highly interesting, but even if you don't, this is also very cool to figure out, what was the purpose of designing it this way and that way. And there's so many twists and turns to some of these buildings. So it's quite exciting. So additionally, within this village, you can enjoy traditional Japanese cuisine in a historic home, which also once served as the residence of a former prime minister. So this is really a magic of time travel here when you come and visit some of these buildings. And then this is also one of the highlights of the area, traditional crafts. So karakuri stands out, and this refers to the mechanical sort of puppet dolls that move independently. This is something that's endemic to the area. Every year, Inuyama hosts a very grand festival where these puppets sort of take center stage, and they're handcrafted by very skilled artisans. It takes a very long time to acquire these skills. And these dolls perform very intricate dances in front of large crowds, and it symbolizes the spirit of the festival. So interestingly, not far from Inuyama is the headquarters of Toyota, which all of you know. So their engineering principles are really, foundational and in the roots of car making. And they also make, reliable cars, but also they have inspired the reliability of these particular puppets. So you might be wondering, how do these dolls, crafted entirely by hand without automation, move by themselves? You also learn what techniques do the artisans employ in their craftsmanship, and why did this particular craft flourish here? So these are questions that, make many people curious, and these are some of the things that you would learn in one of these experiences. So the doll you see on the screen is made up of 50 individual parts, and it costs about 3 million yen. So that's almost $20,000, give or take. And they take 1 year to complete. The larger dolls have hundreds of parts, and sometimes they reach up to about $128,000. So these are highly expensive, very, very highly desired items. So when you go on this experience, you have the opportunity to learn about it alongside Tamaya Shobe, who is a ninth generation master artisan who preserved this traditional craft, in these methods that have been used for over 400 years. And his work has been displayed at the British Museum. He's also given lectures at prestigious institutions such as MIT. And additionally, he created some special pieces for brands like Issey Miyake, which really, have further garnered his global acclaim. This is an exclusive experience developed again by this collaboration, and a chance to really explore the traditional art of karakuri with world-class craftsmanship and immersing yourself in Inuyama's rich cultural heritage. Okay, and here we have, you've seen a lot of some of our other webinars, you've seen a lot of pottery and lacquerware and ceramics. So we have some they're of their own traditional crafts in that vein. Heartwarming designs for your table here. So Inuyama ware is a style of pottery endemic to the region and very commonly used in daily life across Inuyama. So visitors here in this particular experience can step into a craftsman's workshop and get hands-on lectures and also be able to get their hands a little dirty and try it out. So this has a rich history tied to tea culture, where ceramics were, of course, widely used for bowls, cups, tea utensils, saucers, and everyday items and things like that. So inspired by this tradition, we have a lot of local artisans that wanted to create pottery that was elegant, but also usable every day. So that led to the development of Inuyama ware. So it's beauty, but also on display to be using for just the everyday cup of tea. So many people associate pottery with, traditional designs, but this particular style has embraced modern aesthetics, blending tradition with contemporary. So again, that harmony between old and new, and sort of the elegant put on the shelf versus the everyday, this somehow blends it beautifully. So the artisans hosting this particular experience are the Goto family. So they are a fourth and fifth generation team working at a kiln established over 150 years ago. So the Goto family carries on this legacy. They're very, very special and beloved in the area. They carry on these methods developed by their ancestors, and you are able to create here, get inspired, learn, see how they do what they do, and then bring home a piece, of course, home with you to relive your memories. But this is kind of interesting too for people who love, the culinary side of things. This is very, very cool. This is an opportunity to experience traditional Japanese fishing up close. So this practice is incredible. It's called ukai, or cormorant fishing. You may have heard of it before. So a cormorant is a type of bird, and what they do is that the fisherman teams up with the bird, and the fisherman is known locally as the usho. So they perform this extraordinary display, almost like this orchestra coordination in order to capture the fish. So the key to this particular, method is really the unique partnership and the bond that the fisherman has with the bird. So while this is practiced in several regions in Japan, in some areas, really the bond between the fisherman and the bird is so strong that they actually live side by side. So you'll find them together when they're not fishing, and they develop an almost instinctive understanding of each other. So it's extraordinary to see. You can see it's lit by fire there, and they're putting the birds into the water to be able to capture the fish. So according to historical accounts, they say around 500 years ago, the Japanese shogun tasted fish caught through this particular ukai method, and he was so impressed that it became a revered tradition. So just to break down the practice of it, how it actually works, a rope is tied around the cormorant's neck to prevent it from swallowing the fish completely, and the bird catches the fish on behalf of the fisherman. Imagine this, so you can see the pictures here. It swallows it and then later regurgitates it onto the fisherman's boat, and that's actually how it works. So they have exceptional eyesight, amazing stamina, and it's just an incredible thing. You'll never see anything else like it. So while it may appear a little harsh at first glance, the relationship is sort of similar to like a shepherd and a dog kind of thing. So it's the role of the loyal companion and the master, and they form a deep bond with their handlers. So you watch the cormorants and fishermen in action, and this again illuminated, as you can see here, by firelight against the dark night sky and under the stars. So it really is just extraordinary thing to see, but also to appreciate just the world of, in the skies above. So a wonderful, remarkable, memorable experience. So we have some, and again, with hidden gems, the Japanese style izakayas. So this is interesting too. Proudly recommend a selection of Japanese style izakayas run by owners who deeply love and cherish the region. So every dish, when you embark on one of these culinary experiences, is really crafted with a lot of care. They put a lot of work into everything they create. And then most of the dishes are really featuring a lot of local sourced ingredients from Inuyama, so from the region. So pulling from the land to be able to deliver to the table. And each bite and sip is really a true delight. So these meals are, as you may imagine, served on Inuyama ware, which we just talked about a few minutes ago. And this really gives you the chance to experience the charm of the region, not only through its flavors, but through its artistry. So the practical use of these beloved crafts that they take care of, and then the practical application of eating some of the some of the things that people work very hard to grow and curate locally. So these are very friendly places, very welcoming, and they make sure that, everywhere you go, you get the finest hospitality and the most beautiful blends of tastes. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about some of the hotel products here so that you can understand what the options are. Here, first, we'll talk about the Hotel Indigo Inuyama Orakuen Garden. And this is a particular hotel that's part of the IHG Group's rather Indigo brand. So, again, a little bit more Western here. So it's been honored with a Beach Island and Upcountry Hotels Award in Travel and Leisure Luxury Awards for Asia and Pacific in 2024. So that's a wonderful distinction. And people do, Western travelers do appreciate the Western style influences, and perhaps this is a little bit more comfortable and more recognizable with some of the aspects. So the rooms here are very beautifully designed. They reflect the essence of Inuyama, and some rooms even offer really beautiful views of the castle. So that's something special to note. I would recommend all of you request that. And there are some on-site hot springs, which is really a beautiful way to relax and rejuvenate after, as you can see, what would be a very busy day of exploration. And at the bar, they serve some interesting matcha cocktails served with local Inuyama tea. So again, blending the old with the new. And the hotel is also very deeply committed to sustainability and supporting the local community. So I know that that is very important to all of us. So they utilize, again, local ingredients in their cuisine. They collaborate with regional farmers and then actively engage in farm to table practices that you'll find evidence of in the bars and the restaurant and all of that. So this year, for the first time, they partnered with local rice producers to cultivate and harvest rice, which was then used at the hotel. So this is an initiative that celebrates the local production and local consumption, really. So plans are underway to do more things that are in that vein. So it's a beautiful, charming stay, and very, very, highly recommended for an itinerary like this and a bit of a jaunt. All right. So I mentioned before, how do you put some of this stuff together? What does this all look like? How long are these experiences? All great questions. So, and I'll send everybody a copy of this, so you don't need to take super copious notes. But this is just an example of the architectural heritage tour broken down with, with specifics. So generally they are smaller groups. It's generally about a 2-hour tour, just so you can know how to budget for time. And then we also give you on this listing how far it is from particular stations, where you can go, how you get there, so that you can time yourself, accordingly. And then the roundabout price point here and what it includes. So this is a great explanation. And that architectural tour, as I mentioned, is great for architects, but also great for people that just appreciate architecture and would love to know a bit of, a bit of some of these secrets here. So you would go to the Meiji Mora, which I explained before, guided on a special tour by someone who's an expert in cultural heritage restoration. And then you would see these buildings, you would learn about the, the secret areas, how they were built, what was in the inspiration of the structures, and really get a nice step back in time. So this is a lovely experience to consider. And then we mentioned those fascinating dolls. So I went through that just before, but just to show you how it breaks down the pricing per group, the duration, about 2 hours to consider. And then, you get an introduction to this amazing, practice, and then you have a live performance. So, and I think that's the centerpiece of this all, because you're able to see how this comes together, what it all looks like, how these are set up and how they move. And then you're able to ask all of your questions to the masters who know, the most about this. But just a wonderful thing. So you can see, you can easily pair, you could do one in the morning, perhaps one in the afternoon. These are comfortably timed experiences that give you just enough time to delve in, and then to be able to move on to something else. And of course, for the foodies here, we have the izakaya experience. So this is, great maybe to put later in the day, or, we can keep the timing flexible. So maybe lunchtime even. So you could do one tour in the morning, one tour in the evening, or later in the day, and then put this at lunch. So this is great because you're conversing with the chefs, you're tasting incredible bites, you're taking beautiful photos of some of these amazing creations that land on your table as well. Okay, we're going to move on here. We're going to push on to the next region, which is the Hida area. So this is interesting. It's known as the Japanese Alps. I know I've put some content out about this before if you've seen it, because it intrigues me too. It's just absolutely breathtaking, gorgeous natural landscapes. So this is where you want to go if you want to experience the outdoors, the fresh, crisp air, some impossibly beautiful mountainscapes. And it's just mesmerizing. So again, this initiative also is a development and collaboration between Beauty of Japan, and also the excuse me, Okohi Tourism Development Company Limited, which is a subsidiary of the Nagoya Railroad, who also was working with the former project, the latter project that I just spoke to you about, and Beauty of Japan, once again, who's the DMC component. So in the Hida area, you can enjoy the stunning natural scenery of the Alps and experience a very, very unique culture that's evolved in this, excuse me, mountainous region. So we'll talk about a few different ways to get here, just so you can understand the orientation. I always like these maps because most people know where Kyoto and Tokyo are, so it's a good way to orient yourself. So the gateway to the Hida area is the Takayama station, so that's accessible by express train from Nagoya Station. Takayama also offers convenient access to Kanazawa, which I've talked to many of you about as well. So that's, a 2-hour drive away. So the area around Takayama Station is a very compact city, and that makes it very easy to explore on foot and in a brief amount of time. So additionally, just for orientation, Takayama is about a 2-hour drive from Shirakawa-go, which is a popular destination among tourists. So Takayama serves as a hub for visiting Kanazawa as well, but also is a great destination for sightseeing in itself. So we'll take you through 3 mountain experiences and 1 cultural experience. And again, this project is led by the Okuhida Tourism Development Company Limited, which is the operator of a ropeway in the Hida area, which I will show you in just a second. Okay, so you can see here. So this is this very, very special kind of highlight of the Hida area. So the incredible ropeway takes you to the summit of about 2,000 meters above sea level in just 7 minutes. So it's nice, quick escalation with very, very rewarding, impressive views. So Japan has a lot of mountains and a lot of ropeways, but this is the only one in the whole country that can take you to an altitude of 2,000 meters in such a short time. We invite you to enjoy the skywalk. That's what everybody kind of comes up there for. You can walk and really almost, you feel like you're in the clouds, and you get this breathtaking view of the Japanese Alps from above. And what's nice is that we do have some, true different seasons in Japan, 4 seasons. So it does change with the weather and the seasons. So it depends on when you go, what your view is going to be like. But I can guarantee it's always going to be impressive and gorgeous. So the mountains of Hida are very, very, they beckon, almost they're calling you for an adventure and calling you to do something incredible, and to push yourself. So a trekking adventure is the best way to consider doing this. So we've set up experiences that pair you with professional activity guides that know these mountains inside and out. They've grown up there, they've spent a lot of time there, and they'll actually tailor a trekking course to fit any level of fitness. So that's amazing. So you don't have to worry about how fit or how challenging you want to take something, or maybe you don't want to take something, but they know. And the more you talk to them about what you're capable of doing or your clients are doing, the better they can create this. So they're there to really support everybody on this journey so that everybody has access to see these spectacular views with their own 2 feet. So the forests around here in Hida are filled with, fresh, invigorating air. You've got that crisp rejuvenation feeling. And then along the way, plenty of rest stops that give you beautiful panoramic views of distant mountains. So there's a lot of, you want to charge up your phone and bring your camera. So these are going to be things that you won't likely see anywhere else. And then, of course, there's always, hikers. So there's always fun local interactions, international collaborations, and saying hello in a million different languages and all of that. So that's a lot of fun as well. So at the summit, What you have is a Japanese style lunch that will await you, sort of a pop-up picnic. It'll be a warm, hearty meal, perhaps ramen or a curry that refreshes your body and spirit. And then depending on your ability, your ability, you can get a trek to the popular Kamikochi area, which can also be arranged. And this is interesting because when you reach the end of this particular trail, you can relax in a private hot spring that's reserved exclusively for you. So that to me is the perfect way to rejuvenate your body in a very serene space after a day of trekking. Okay, and here is interesting for people that like sake or want to get into the history of sake. Here we have a 15th generation head of the oldest sake brewery in the region. So it's got a history of 400 years. And here you have a personal tour and insight into their methods, their thought process, their production process, and of course, tasting. So the tour was developed to link the history of the brewery and the story of the sake itself, along with the development of the region. And it explains how the town has grown and the really vital role that this particular brewery has taken. So at the end of the tour, you have a beautiful sake tasting experience where you very well might discover a new favorite. And then you'll have the opportunity to purchase bottles and souvenirs. And it's a really fun journey. It's very engaging because the owner and at the head of the brewery is very charismatic. So he really enjoys engaging with the guests, making sure that he's answering the questions, but filling it with very, very notable, fun, and relatable information to really spark your newfound fascination with this very beloved local beverage. So we'll explore some places to stay in the Hida region just so you can get a sense of what's possible and what is on offer. So first, I'll tell you about the traditional Japanese ryokan experience. So this particular inn called Hidaji is a blend of Japanese ryokan style, but the comfort of Western style beds. That's not always common, so that's a highlight here. So this ensures, very stress-free stay and comfortable sleep for all guests. So the rooms are featuring antique furniture, and it's crafted a lot from locally sourced wood. So this gives a beautiful sense of place of the region as well. So as you may imagine, in this beautiful lush area here, you have your own private hot spring bath. So that allows you the most tranquil and serene moments that sort of feel like a one-on-one chat with the mountains outside. And the cuisine here is always, working to celebrate the seasonal flavors of the mountains and celebrating and integrating Hida's local ingredients in a Japanese style meal. So, but you don't have to worry if your guests have dietary requirements, if they have certain things that they can eat or can't eat. That can always be arranged as long as they know ahead of time. So we can always accommodate. It can be as traditional or as, customized as you need it to be. And this is also one of the ones that we wanted to highlight because it's very interesting in that it's an entire homestay here. It's your private house for the duration of your stay in excuse me, in Taniya. So it's a unique prospect. It's a renovated traditional Japanese house. And you'll find a lot of these in Japan. I've seen a few on my recent trips and very impressed with the size and the level of comfort, and just the range of amenities on site. It's pretty interesting. It's a nice thing to think about. So this is done as a private rental. So you have an exceptional experience with total seclusion. And this particular place was built with renowned woodworking techniques of the region, and it's known as Hida no Takumi. And the architecture is really a masterpiece of local craftsmanship. So when you stay here, you feel like you're residing in a museum that's celebrating the wood history of the region. And guests here have exclusive access to the Kusakabe Folk Museum. And that is considered the pinnacle of traditional Japanese residential architecture. So here you can have a private meal that features the region's specialty Hida beef, which is a specially curated beef that's made with special breeding methods and feeding methods of the animals. And you can do that over, across from a fireplace, and it's a very cozy experience. And then they can also arrange a special tour by some of the wood artisans. So again, it's like kind of staying in a museum, that kind of feeling, and feeling that you're up close and personal with the owners who are taking you into their fold. So just to show you again how the logistics work on some of the tours. So we talked about the ropeway and the summit with the pop-up breakfast, exceptional. So this is something you probably want to do in the morning or in the early part of the day when the sun is out and over. over where you are, sort of, especially in the winter, fall and the winter seasons. So it's very affordable, about 7,200 Japanese yen per person for a group of 4. And this is just something exceptional, I think, and especially if you don't tell people that the breakfast is coming, it serves to be just an exceptional surprise as well. So this is great for people that want this, awe-inspiring scenery, a bit of a, somewhat of a challenge. And then to be able to sort of celebrate the serenity here, because you will be at a very high altitude. The trekking and the walking is also, definitely something you're going to want to do here. And we always say you have to go with a guide in places like this. Otherwise, first of all, you could get easily lost. So you want someone who knows these places in and out. But also, these are the guides that know all the magical places, that will know exactly where to take you to see the most magical, areas and cloud drops and flora and fauna that you might otherwise miss if you're trying to guide yourself. So we definitely like to customize these. The more we know about a guest's option or level of fitness, the better we can create this so that it becomes a very enjoyable experience for the group. So this is lovely as well, and this is something that you definitely want to dress appropriately for, and of course, bring your camera. Okay, and this is just how the sake experience breaks down. Again, 2 hours. So a lot of these you'll see they're compact. So you can actually do a lot in a very short time. In Japan, it's always a challenge because there's so many places people want to see. There's so many things you want to cover. Sometimes it feels impossible to know, but I hope that this has been helpful in some way to show you a lot of this is possible without having to spend 2, 3, 4 weeks. You can actually get different tastes of things. And the most lovely part of Japan, as far as logistics, is that the trains work so well, and they can get you from point to point quite easily, and make all of these things possible. So you can have that cityscape, and then you can have these nature experiences, as well as interactions with the local culture. So here is just how we break down the sake tour, for example. Again, just 2 hours, incredibly affordable, and then you do get your tastings here as well. So I'd like to thank you very much. I'm going to go to some questions if we have any. If you do, please put them in the chat. But I really hope that you found this helpful. This is a nice way to just give you a little bit of a gateway into this experience. And some of these places they're just relatively undiscovered, from people in this market, which I love. So you can always feel like you're being the first one to book them. All right, Sharon says, how many people in a group? These are generally designed for maybe like 4 to 10 people. If you have a large group, we will talk about it and we'll figure out how to break it out. Maybe we take the group and we split them up, and some people do one activity and some people do another, and we cross. But, a lot of these places can take more than that, at one time. But generally, when the pricing is put out on some of these itineraries, it denotes how many people it's based on. But generally, you'll see consistent numbers based on 4, based on 6, that kind of thing. But they can, they can be privatized as well. So you can get, whatever you need. Will we get a copy of the presentation? Absolutely. I'm going to email. And also, this is going to be on our YouTube channel, the recording. So in case you missed any part or you want to watch it again, it will be there for you probably by tomorrow morning. So I really appreciate your lovely comments. This is wonderful. I'm so glad that you all found it so informative. This is wonderful. Really makes me very happy because it's such a joy to talk about Japan. So yeah, email us at info@truemarketing.com. We are always here to help you and inspire. So if you ever need anything, if you want to be connected with Beauty of Japan and you want to create a new itinerary that includes this area, please also let us know. And it would be our honor to include you and to connect you with them. But I appreciate your time so very much. I look forward to talking to all of you soon. And again, we are always here to help with anything that you need. So have a wonderful day. And the one lucky winner will know probably by the end of the day if you've got that wonderful Amex gift card to buy yourself something after you've spent a lot of time in the holidays buying for everyone else. So good luck with that. And we will talk to you very soon. Thank you so much.